What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Tap Bets episode, baby. We're here to make you money. Beat your bookie. Brad is here. Bookie beater,
boys?
Brad. Let's go. And Bookie, I don't know, what's your nickname, John?
The bookie pleaser.
Bookie pleaser, John.
That's actually
BPJ.
Also a bet you can make instead of a teaser. There's also a bet called a pleaser.
Oh,
Does it give
John.
you worse odds?
Yeah, it actually does.
Sign me up. Let's go. Go
Yeah.
big or go home. We're here to win the lottery on $2.
Yeah, something like that. I wish. We need to hit a fire ass parlay at some point in this season where we win our listeners like $1 bajillion.
Just smack down a couple long shot parlays in there. See how they rock out.
I was making my picks for this episode, and I was just going through the quarterback touchdown totals, over unders, and I had like 12 overs I was extremely confident with, and once I stacked them up, it was like a plus 6,500 parlay. Oh, and I mean, at that point, might as well.
I mean, $100 wins you 6,500. That's not exactly some narrow odds there. Hey, also I want to point out, we're not quite sure how our bets shook out last week. We're going to tally them up week 1 and week 2. But also, did anybody watch Tom Brady play on Thursday Night Football?
Yep.
Those MVP odds is 16-1. I mean, come on, that man looked amazing.
Yep.
He did.
Yeah, you took that, right? You took the
MVP
it was his MVP. Yeah.
Yep.
Mike, running back really quick. How are you feeling about Chase Young for that sack record this year?
He's got to catch back up to Chandler Jones, but I have full faith in Chase Young. Full faith. So
I have some trouble believing that Chandler Jones is going to record 5 sacks every week. I mean, it was pretty wild for a week 1.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a great start.
Yeah, I wonder what those odds were.
Oh God,
you have to.
I don't even know how you would calculate that.
Make some adjustments there.
Yeah. So enough of the BS, boys and girls. Let's jump into making money. John, you're going to start us off today. You've got 5 bets that you want to let the people know.
Let's hear it.
And like Brad said, we're going to calculate our wins and losses up next week, just to let you guys know where we're at. Also, real quick, before we jump into this, make sure you subscribe, like this video, join the Discord, all that good stuff. We'd love it.
All right. So first thing I've got for everyone here, obviously, if you caught the last episode, Jameis Winston, my quarterback must start of the week going against the Carolina Panthers. And for him to be a must start, we're expecting more than 2 touchdowns. And right now, his over under for touchdown totals is 1.5. After a 5 touchdown game, we're looking at something that almost feels like a gimme. And it's only minus 110. So you're taking those negative odds, but you're still going to be getting something that's fairly secure, and I'm going to put my name on it.
All right.
I definitely don't have a problem with Jameis Winston trying to pass 2 touchdowns. Yeah, they don't have a lot of wide receiver help, but the tight ends are looking like they're picking up a little bit of slack, and then you can never sell out Alvin Kamara. He can catch those little shovel passes, tap pass, and take it on right to the house. So I love that bet.
100%.
Definitely
My first bet of the week is going to be Giants at the Washington football team. Give me the Giants at plus 3.5. Okay, you're paying a little bit of extra juice at minus 115. But here's the thing, guys. I don't know if you watched last week, but while Taylor Heineke might not be quite as good as Ryan Fitzpatrick, they're pretty close. They're kind of comparable. Okay, so it's not a huge downgrade, but it is still a downgrade from Fitzpatrick to Taylor Heineke. But here's where the big downgrade comes in. He hasn't been playing with the ones. All of offseason, all of training camp, all the preseason. It's been Fitzpatrick. That's been the focus. And when you're a younger quarterback coming in, inexperienced, you haven't played a lot, all of a sudden being thrust into the starting lineup, that's a pretty tough spot to fill in. Now, maybe throughout the year, he kind of catches back up to where Fitzpatrick would have been. But right now, first week, give me that Giants defensive line crushing on all over Taylor Heineke.
All right. And to make it better for you, I just checked the odds, and they're actually been bought down to 105, minus 105. So even better.
Take that.
Yeah.
It's hard for me. I mean, Taylor Heineke was the best opponent Tom Brady faced in the playoffs this last season, and that's the only stat he really has to his name. So it's a fair bet. I like it. I just don't trust the Giants, but
they don't have to win.
They don't. They just need to make it a really close game, and it's something that could definitely happen. The only thing Washington has going for them is the defense, and that offense isn't guaranteed to put up points weekly, and at least the Giants can.
Yeah, and the Giants definitely have the weapons too. So my first bet is Kareem Hunt over 2.5 receptions. It's at plus 120 odds. He did it 8 times last year, and he even did it against Houston, who he's playing last year. I expect the running backs to be heavily involved. Plus, there is no Odell Beckham Jr. Kareem Hunt is going to get 3 catches this week.
Or more.
Highly. 3 is the magic number.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see how it theoretically can go under. I mean, they're a 12.5-point favorite on the road. That's a pretty hefty line there. Yeah. But I mean, the Houston Texans are garbage.
Yeah.
They just happen to be playing garbage as well last week. Turns out the Jaguars definitely not going to hang in this season. Wow. But so unless the Cleveland Browns dominate so heavily that they just never pass the ball, which that's just not the case in the NFL. I don't see Kareem Hunt getting fewer than 3 targets, and the man is pretty sure-handed. So I like that bet.
Let's go.
All right, that's 3 for 3. Everyone agrees. Kareem Hunt on those 3 catches. Now, I'm going to need you guys to work with me here. I'm actually taking the over in a pretty bum game. I'm taking the over 45 points for Denver Broncos at Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, my reasoning here, it's minus 110. So you're obviously playing into the money here. But Teddy Bridgewater came out, looked like an absolute stud. Very capable of running an offense that can put up 20-plus points on the week, 24, 26, if not more. Jacksonville plays well in the garbage time, plays well against big enough plays. Obviously, Denver will be playing Patrick Surtain as their starting corner with Ronald Darby out. I don't know if that's considered a downgrade or not. Patrick Surtain, obviously one of the better corners coming out of the draft. But I do see this a situation where 2 offenses just trying to move the ball downfield and 2 defenses trying to keep up. As great as the Broncos are, I don't think that they're going to be able to force the Jaguars to score under 14 points. And I do see it possible to go over 45.
All right. I think it's ballsy, in my opinion.
Hey, I mean, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I get that. Is what you're here for. I can see it. I think garbage time is where you're really going to need the Jacksonville Jaguars to score the points. Absolutely. I think the Denver Broncos are going to do their fair share. Just worried about that Jacksonville Jaguars offense. Do they pull it together? I could easily see this being, a 50-point game for sure, plus, but I could also see it being a 17-13 game. And yeah, hitting that under.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely tough to see which direction that one's going to go, especially with Denver being a 6-point road favorite. I mean, that's saying they're 9 points better on it, or 8.5, 9 points better on a neutral field. I mean, that's a pretty big disparity for Jacksonville to put up points, but I mean, 45 is not that high in the NFL anymore. And so that kind of ties into my next bet. And now bear with me for a second, guys. I'm taking the Pats and the Jets over 41.5. Okay.
Okay.
And it really just falls into the idea that I think this line is mispriced. Okay. In current day NFL, too few games just stay under that mark of a 41.5. I mean, I think last year the weekly average of the lowest NFL over-under line was 43. So, I mean, this is 41.5. And I think it was over 50% of those lines went over. So, I mean, I don't see over 41.5 as a big stretch. And it really doesn't have a lot to do with the Jets or the Pats. Yeah, I think Zach Wilson he looked great. He showed really real promise in his first outing. I think he's going to slowly be coming along. But Mac Jones looked like the real deal to me last week. And I think just every week we're going to see him really coming on stronger and stronger as he gets command of that Patriots offense. So I definitely could just see this game going over 41.5.
I actually like that a lot. You're looking at only requiring 6 touchdowns in the game. Not just passing touchdowns, not just rushing touchdowns. It's a situation where Mac Jones is going to be forced out there to throw the ball. Bill Belichick is looking to make himself look good for playing Mac Jones week 1 and getting that loss against Miami. Week 2, he needs to go out there and force Mac Jones to put up some numbers and kind of just reiterate that it is Bill Belichick, regardless that Tom Brady's not there. I think Mac Jones is going to go out there and absolutely dominate the Jets, even through a 15-point lead. They're still going to be moving the ball downfield, just putting up stats, showing that it is the new Patriots regime. I like that a lot. And then I do see that the Jets work their way back and score more than 2 touchdowns. I think you're in for an amazing situation.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy line for them to get over. It worries me because it is 2 rookie quarterbacks. I mean, they have played in the first games, but I do expect the Patriots full and well to beat this team, and by the end of the half, pretty well also. I mean, I know the line's only 5.5, but I think that the Patriots could hand it to them, and then a little bit of garbage time for the Jets, kind of what we saw this past week.
Exactly, kind of like what John was just saying. I mean, I think Bill Belichick needs to show that, hey, I'm still here. I'm still the guy. I'm still the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not a better spot than this to take advantage of just picking on a weak Jets defense and really getting your rookie quarterback that confidence and get him that charisma, give him that boost as he's going into the tougher parts of the schedule. Let him get the easy win and feel what it feels like to put up those numbers and stuff like that. So, I mean, I really think that he's going to take this opportunity to really step on the Jets' throat, an in-division rival. Yeah, definitely give me that over 41.5.
And then we saw last week that even though, Zach Wilson was able to salvage his day, but most of Corey Davis's time came in that garbage time, which shows that, Bill Belichick's got a lot of depth on that roster. If they get into a situation where they're leading by a lot in the game, he's going to start throwing in that depth on the defense to see which players are going to be able to be worth sticking around, which is going to give Wilson a chance to actually turn it around and start coming back or making a play to look like a solid quarterback. I really, really like this. I think this is a really sneaky play, and I'm kind of jealous I didn't throw it on my list.
Hammer it. Bring out the hammer. All right. Jameis Winston, baby. Another Jameis Winston prop bet. I am saying, and it actually got bought down, surprisingly, over, and I think it's because he only threw for just over 140 yards this week. I think people don't realize, 2 years ago, he was throwing over 300 yards every game. Like it was like nothing. I understand.
Like Justin Herbert.
His receivers are meh, it's not Michael Thomas there. But I do think he has enough weapons to throw for over 234.5 passing yards. Minus 115 on this one. I love it. I think this is a lock.
I mean, the last several years, Alvin Kamara has gotten over 80 receptions every single year. In fact, for the last 3 years, I think he's gotten 88 exact receptions every single year.
No. It was 81, 83. Last year was his best reception total, but within 2 catches of 80. Sorry.
Thanks for fixing that for me, John. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
No. Thank you for fixing it, because that goes exactly to my point, though. 81, 81, 81, 83. Okay. If no one else on that team can catch the ball, we know that Alvin Kamara can catch the ball. And you know what? If Alvin Kamara catches the ball at the -1 yard line and then just takes off for 30 yards, guess what? Jameis Winston gets all of those passing yards. I love this bet of over 200 yards.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, I honestly think Alvin Kamara would be a top 20 receiver in the NFL if he didn't even touch that running back role. So with the running back being such a great reception option, you're looking at an obvious chance to get a ton of receiving yards off of limited touches. And that's what we saw last week. We saw 5 touchdowns in 20 attempts. Now, going against Carolina, I'm assuming they get more attempts out of Jameis Winston this week and just bigger plays. So love it a lot. I would be all over this, but as you mentioned before, I think it was in our last episode, but we let each other know what our picks are. And I can't double up on that. Otherwise, I absolutely would have.
All right, John, who's your next? What's your next?
My next one, and I know both of you possibly might tell me, what are you doing? John, I completely disagree, but I am taking the Houston Texans at 12.5 plus over the Cleveland Browns for -110. And for me, realistically, this comes down to the fact that if this game is in a situation where Houston's not keeping up at all, I just don't see it turning into a high-scoring game. And a situation where the Cleveland Browns are able to clear that 12.5 points. It might be a 10-point lead. It might be an 11-point lead. But at 12.5, I'm extremely comfortable taking that. I don't expect the Texans to win. But I do think I'm someone that's been confident in Tyrod Taylor to be usable this week or usable this year. Last week against Jacksonville, he looked solid. I don't think he's an amazing quarterback, but I don't think he's someone that's just going to get blown out by a highly strong defensive team with a strong rushing offense that's going to kill a lot of clock and lead to a situation where they're down by more than 13 points leading into the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, I like the bet just because giving up 12.5 points in the NFL is just a ton of points. We've seen this time and time again. It was just 3 years ago when the Patriots were at the height of the dynasty and Miami was in the toilet, and the Patriots were a 17.5 point favorite, went down to Miami and lost the game outright.
Was that the Miami Miracle that you're talking about?
Yes, that is the Miami Miracle that I'm talking about. It was a pretty amazing play. I was actually at a wedding watching the football game.
John, my TV was literally like 5 seconds fucking behind, and John calls me, "Oh my God, did you just see what happened?" And the play hadn't even happened on my end. And I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" It ruined it for me.
House. It was at my family's house at a family watch party, and I was literally scooping some dip out of the pan, dropped my chip in the dip, started screaming and jumping, and called him right away. But yeah, no, absolutely. When you have a line that large, it's hard to expect that in garbage time that team's not going to close that gap. And
exactly, your interests are not aligned with what the teams are interested in, because when a team gets a big lead, say Cleveland's up 21, Cleveland's up 28, whatever they're up in the third quarter, well, they're going to switch. They're playing prevent defense. They're going to try and run the clock out. They're just going to run the ball and punt, the ball and punt. And then you know what? Playing that prevent defense, that's going to give the opportunities for the other team to come back and score. So when you take that, give me the plus 12.5, your interests are aligned with the way the game flow is going to go. Yeah. I think it just makes the most sense. It's either taking Houston plus 12.5 or you're not betting the game.
Yeah.
Only the squarest of squares is going to take Cleveland minus 12.5.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
You know, I'm looking a lot better when Brad's agreeing with me on three of my picks so far. So guys, obviously this show is helping me make better picks. Make sure you guys are following along and check out those results after we post them for next week. Mike, what's up next?
All right. Actually, next up is me. Yeah.
Brad,
next
sorry,
up is
Brad,
me.
Brad, I'm sorry.
All good, buddy. So next up, I'm taking another road team, but this time I'm taking the dreaded road dog. But give me the 49ers -3 at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes,
And
please.
here's the reason why. I'm sorry, but yeah, as great as the Philadelphia Eagles looked last week in Atlanta, they were playing Atlanta. Atlanta looked like absolute garbage, dog crap. They couldn't have stopped anyone. They couldn't play offense. Yes, I thought Jalen Hurts looked pretty good, but you know what his ADOT was? Average depth of target of 3.4 yards.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Terrible.
That's not going to hold up even against a banged up 49ers secondary, because you know what's not banged up are the 49ers? That front seven.
Yeah.
And that defensive line can get after it. So, yes, while Jalen Hurts is going to scramble around, he's going to run around. No, they're not going to beat the 49ers. And give me Kyle Shanahan's scheme, running that offense, running that ball all day long. No. 49ers to cover -3. Give it to me all day at -110. Lock it up.
Boom.
I'm going to hammer it down.
I do like that. I like that. We've been negative going into the season on Jalen Hurts. Last week, he was my start of the week. I knew he's playing a bad defense. This week, he is John Start's sit of the week. So love that. Love that. So Cowboys, baby. How about them Cowboys? I was going to take them +3.5, but I'm like, that's not even fair. I'm taking them straight money line. I want my money. They're going up against the LA Chargers. And yes, the LA Chargers look pretty okay against the Washington football team. But did we see the Cowboys come out on Thursday night? One, they've had extra time to prepare for this game. Okay. Two, they took it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are defending Super Bowl champions. And I mean, I believe, and I'm pretty sure everybody else believes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a much better defense, and the Cowboys offense can also keep up in shootouts and will be able to keep up with the Chargers offense. I think this is a very solid game. It's a high over-under of 55. I wasn't that comfortable with taking that, but I think the Dallas Cowboys, they're a little ticked off. They lost last Thursday, had some extra time to prepare. They're going to come in to LA. And I know people will be like, well, what about the time difference and stuff like that? Well, they train, their training camps out in California. So we got to remember that they're used to it. I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys money line, baby, +165.
I absolutely love that bet. Dallas is a high variance team. So forget about the points. Give me that money line. Give me that extra juice on that, because they are a high variance team. Either they were going to lose this game by 10 or they're going to win this game by 10. I mean, they are such a high variance team because their defense is so atrocious and their offense is so amazing. Everything hinges on Dak Prescott and how he's playing that game. And yes, he's been playing lights out the last several times we've seen him, including this last week. So if he's going to play lights out like he's been and continue to play at this high level with CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper just getting ready to shatter some records, I mean, give me Dallas all day. I understand they're on the road, but they do not want to start off 0-2 to start off this season. They're going to be fully motivated. And the Chargers second-year quarterback coming off of a pretty high intensity road win. Yeah. Give me the Cowboys.
Yep. Love it.
I'm going to absolutely agree. Mike, we mentioned earlier that we sent a little script of what our picks are. Obviously, I'm going to expose myself here. I skimmed the top of your list. I did not see the center of it. I did not see that you were taking the Cowboys. So obviously, I agree with you. I think the Cowboys are a great pick in this money line situation here at a positive thing. The Chargers are a team, even though Anthony Lynn's no longer there, they're a team that happens to just lose games by within points of a win. I think the Cowboys are a straight victory here, but to replace my pick here, I'm actually going to take the Dolphins at +3.5. I think that yes, I will take the Dolphins at +3.5. I think that what we saw last week was one of the Dolphins' biggest issues coming into the week was that run defense. Damian Harris still able to get over 100 yards in his handful of carries. James White still able to do everything. But Buffalo's rushing offense is absolutely abysmal, including Josh Allen himself. great guy, great running back, or great quarterback, but definitely the best runner on the team. So I think that the Dolphins will be able to stir up their defense and keep it within a 3-point game, if not take the win. Obviously, a homer pick, but I'm taking I think the Dolphins have a strong chance to keep it a close game or make it a win. They are a team that plays to the script and plays for the victory. We saw it last week, using the last 2 minutes of the game just to knee it down to ensure that they are going to actually get that dub and not fumble a ball randomly, get a random interception or anything else. They are playing strictly for the win.
And as I know that you guys are both those Dolphins homers, and you guys may see me drinking out my Steelers mug, so I have my own homerdom too. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But I gotta I can't get behind this pick. I'm sorry, but Tua did not show me enough to go up against Josh Allen and that Bills defense that is gonna be pissed off this week in a rivalry situation, taking on the either the second or third biggest challenge to for the title for the AFC East. I mean, they're going to be all about this. And Josh Allen, like you said, he might be the best runner on that team, but I don't know if you watched Devin Singletary start to get in a rhythm against the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line. And I'm sorry, but Miami's defense is not quite at the level of the Steelers defensive line there.
I'm just going to echo everything Brad said. So
that's fair. Let me respond to this. You started out with saying that Tua didn't show you enough to give you that confidence that he's going to be able to keep up with this Buffalo's defense. But did he show you anything to tell you that he's not going to be able to keep up with it? That he's not going to be able to come into this game and be a solid quarterback, regardless of the fact that Buffalo's defense looked solid in the previous years. Pittsburgh just put up 28 points against them. They made everyone but Najee Harris into looking like a solid play on the week. I do think that there's a situation that with the addition of Will Fuller coming into the week, it gives Tua another option to throw the ball out deep, that we end up with enough big plays that we close this gap. I'm not guaranteeing a Dolphins victory here, guys, but I do think that B-Flow is going to play the game in a situation that keeps it close enough. Unless we're down, it's either going to be a 3.5 points or we're going to lose by 4. It's going to be a close game.
I will make one correction of what you just said, though. The Pittsburgh offense only actually put up 16 points against Buffalo. The final score was 23-16.
23,
and that also included a special teams touchdown from the blocked punt. So actually, Pittsburgh's offense only put up 16 points.
It's very fair. Very fair. Still confident with my pick. I like Miami plus 3.5. We're going to the Super Bowl.
The only thing I can guarantee about that game is that we're going to be there, folks.
All
three of us are going to be there.
Yeah, make sure you guys tune in Sunday for the shorter edition of our live stream. Don't think we're going to get it running all the way till 1 o'clock when the game starts, because we got to get in our seats, Yep.
Pretty excited about that. So
he's talking about the teal and aqua.
I am today, I guess. I'm rocking you guys' colors. So talking about homer teams, though, I'm going to go with another Pittsburgh Steelers bet this week. I gave us the Pittsburgh Buffalo under last week. Well, I'm taking another Pittsburgh under this week. Pittsburgh Las Vegas under 47. Okay. Yes. As we saw, the Las Vegas Raiders, they can put up some points. But what else did we see in that primetime game? Derek Carr only has one target in mind. It didn't matter if those receivers were open. He was going to throw to Darren Waller in double or triple coverage because he's just going to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
And you know what? That worked against a beat-up Baltimore defense that's missing some key players. It's not going to work against Pittsburgh's defense this week. I'm sorry. It's just not. Cam Hayward played like a monster last week. And TJ Watt, after becoming the highest paid defensive player in NFL history, records a strip sack and another sack along with 6 other pressures this week. I mean, are you kidding me? They're all over it. And Cam Sutton and Trey Norwood, Minka Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden in that secondary, they're locking people down. So I don't see Vegas putting up the points. And as great as Pittsburgh is on defense, man, are they still sorely lacking on offense. And Max Crosby was getting a lot of pressure last week and against a beat up offensive line. Well, Pittsburgh's offensive line sure doesn't have it figured out yet. So I see Ben being under a lot of pressure and Najee probably getting hit in that backfield quite a few more times until this offensive line figures their stuff out and gets it put together. So all of that means a lacking of a Pittsburgh offense and a great Pittsburgh defense tells me we're in for another under.
Yep. I agree with that one for sure. I agree with that because those Max Crosby looked nasty. And I was thinking about that coming in. When we were doing our start sits, I was like, man, should I make Najee my sit? Because I think he might be in for a rough day. But love the under there. Love the under.
I like the pick, but I'm skeptical just only because we saw what happened with the Raiders last year. One of the only teams to really shut down the Kansas City Chiefs and completely out of nowhere getting that win. They seem like a team that can randomly put up a good game against a big time opponent, but then end up getting blown out or making it a very close game against someone like even the Jets. So I'm skeptical. I'm not confident in John Gruden to be able to keep it together and keep the game plan rolling. But I do like the under in total in this situation. I'm also skeptical on that Steelers offense with no offensive line. Even though they spent money on spent money on some offensive line or some draft picks on offensive line this offseason. Some time for them to learn what they're doing.
Yeah, see, I agree with what you were saying there, John, and that's why I stayed away from the line, which was at Pittsburgh -6. But clearly, a lot of people agree because that line's already moved to Pittsburgh -5.5. So it's moving the Raiders' way. So like you said, they're a very high variance team, the Raiders. And because they're so high variance, I want to stay away from laying those big spreads like that. So I'm just going to try and get at this game from a different direction because I still feel like a pretty good way of predicting this game of the direction it's going to go. But because the Raiders are so high variance, I'd rather bet the under in this game instead of taking them either -5.5 for Pittsburgh or even +5.5 for the Raiders. I don't feel comfortable with either of those bets.
Yeah. So I've got my final pick here. It is a teaser, 6-point teaser, and that is same game, Las Vegas Raiders +11.5. and the Arizona Cardinals +2.5 for -120 total. Arizona Cardinals playing Minnesota Vikings. They should win outright. But if they don't, we give them a little bit of wiggle room. And the Las Vegas Raiders, similarly to what we were saying about the Houston Texans getting 12.5 points, 11.5 points is a ton. And now we just saw what the Las Vegas Raiders are coming off of. They just beat the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think they win here. But I definitely think they lose by less than 11.5.
Yeah, I mean, like we were just talking about the problems with the Steelers offense. They can't put the foot on anyone's throat. They can't extend that lead. So even if they get a lead, they're going to be they're doing their best to hang on to a lead of 10. And that's pretty a stretch as far as it goes. And they turn into run, punt. Yep. I mean, as their strategy to try and run that clock out. So, no, I love this bet to tease that line that direction. It's very situationally aware of the lack of Steelers offense. Absolutely love it.
Woo! All right. My last bet, not a teaser, an over-under, and that's going to be the over-under for the 49ers and the Eagles game, currently at 50.5. Obviously, I feel like that's being boosted a little bit because of what we saw Jalen Hurts do last week against the Falcons. Obviously, we saw the 49ers beat up on the Detroit Lions and put up insane numbers. But I just don't think that this game's going to be what we saw from both teams last week. I think the 49ers defense slows the Eagles down, and I think the fact that the 49ers are going up against someone that's not the Detroit Lions just doesn't push them up into those 30 to 40 point ranges. I think that this is somewhat safe at -110. I'm, again, really doubting the ability of Jalen Hurts against the San Francisco 49ers defense this week, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I do think it's boosted a little bit, with Jalen Hurts. Two very run-heavy teams. So the clock's going to continue to go. I mean, I'm not secure in it because I do think that they could potentially we could see a shootout of some sorts, especially with that, Philadelphia Eagles defense. But I mean, I can understand it for sure.
So you're taking under 50.5, right?
I'm taking the under 50.5.
Okay. So I can't say that I would be betting the other side, but I don't think I can necessarily get behind this bet on just kind of echoing what Mike was saying, but also thinking about Kyle Shanahan's offense is so explosive that sometimes they just score so quickly, even though they are a run-heavy team, that they score so quickly. I mean, even a run-heavy team, Jimmy G had over 350 passing yards last week as a run-heavy team. So, I mean, that offense in and of itself is so predicated on run after the catch and those yak yardage and getting those running backs in open space. It's just such an explosive offense. And like Mike said, Philly's defense is so weak. 50.5 is not that much for them to get a big lead and then let the foot off the gas. I mean, we just saw Detroit put up 33 on that defense. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that they're going to hold off Philly.
I'm just going to throw this in there. A lot of that came from garbage. A lot of
Right.
Jimmy's yards came from Debo's big plays. I mean, yeah, we're talking 314 yards on only 17 attempts. Again, going up against one of the worst defenses in the league. Philly obviously not stacking those defensive players, but a solid middle of the pack defense, in my opinion, this year. They do have some talent on the outside. They do have some players in that defensive line. I just don't see it turning into that shootout game. I think this is going to be a disappointing game in fantasy in general and just a low scoring one that just turns into a 49ers win by 6.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, my last bet is coming in. I got a teaser for you guys. Cincinnati had a pretty good week last week against Minnesota. So Cincinnati plus 2.5. We're going to tease that up to a plus 8.5. Okay.
Ooh.
So I'm a pretty big fan of Cincinnati getting over a touchdown. Okay. Joe Burrow said to me that this last week, oh yeah, he told me personally, looked right through the TV screen, right into my eyes. And he said, Brad, I'm the real deal. And I think Joe Burrow is legitimately the real deal. And you know what? They wouldn't have won this game last week if they'd have drafted an offensive tackle at number 5 overall, because Jamar Chase is what helped them win that game this last week. So I love the Cincinnati plus 8.5. And to go along with that, I'm going to tease Denver down from -6 down to a pick 'em, because they're going down to Jacksonville to visit the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is just the dumpster fire of the Southeast. I mean, when you make Miami perpetually look not nearly as bad because you just exist in the same state, I mean, that's saying a lot all the time. And yeah, I love Trevor Lawrence. I think he's got a great future ahead of him. But right now, that team is not looking good, and Urban Meyer is not impressing me whatsoever. So, and at the same time, Denver looked great this last week. As we talked about earlier, Teddy really looked good. And while they're losing Jerry Jeudy for a little while, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant looking good. And don't forget, just a guy, but Tim Patrick is going to step in, and he looked great last year when given the opportunity. And then you add in the speed of KJ Hamler. I just don't see how Jacksonville's going to compete with that. So give me Denver pick'em tied up with Cincinnati plus 8.5.
Love it. I love it.
I like it.
Dope. So those are our bets, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Brad, of course, for tuning in or joining in on this episode with us. We are very excited to go to this Miami Dolphins Bills game, baby, down in South Florida. We're going to see the Dolphins whoop up on the Bills.
Rooting for you.
Yeah. And
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I got a shirt if you need it.
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah, we will see you guys next week. We're going to calculate how we did these first 2 weeks. Also, don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, join the Discord. Guys, have any last words?
No.
Beat the bookies and don't bet John's bets.
Oh, you like the first 3. Let's not forget the last 2 you were not so great on. So hey, if I hit on those bottom 2, we'll remind you guys tomorrow, remind you guys next week. Remember, next week we will keep up our record so far on our takes so far, and remind you how we're doing. And if I'm just gonna say this now, we may be in for some surprise.
Hey, you never know what's gonna happen. That's why they play the game, right?
That is the truth. Alrighty, guys. Peace out. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in.